sculpt and teach people how to sculpt miniatures of themselves.
Of themselves?
Yeah.
Why of themselves?
Primarily, it's a self-esteem exercise, if nothing else. If you're sculpting yourself, you have to think about who you are and what shape you are, and that it's okay. And in a group situation, it's fantastic, because you get all these different body builds. You can adjust things if you want, but basically people don't. They sort of embrace who they are, and it's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
And how did you start? And
the mini-me's?
The mini-me's. How did you start? Actually, like what, the first day that you said, okay, I'm going to sculpt a mini-me of myself. Do you remember that exact
Okay, the first time I did a mini-me was actually of my children. I did little ones and tiny, tiny ones of them, and did it as a little sculpture, and that was cool. And people said to me at the time, you should be doing something with this, and I thought, no, too hard. And then about 5 years ago, a friend of mine, I then began making dolls and stuff, which was cool, but not of myself certainly, but I could do portraits. I paint, I draw, I take photographs, it's all people. So anyway, a friend of mine's daughter was teaching a grade 6 class, and she felt she didn't have a whole lot of artistic skill. And she wanted me to come in and do something with the kids. And I had just made a doll of somebody. And she asked if I'd come in and do some dolls with the children in the classroom. And I said, sure, but we need a focus. And so we decided that the kids would make themselves. So the first ones were just busts. So sort of from their tummy buttons up. And they were fantastic. And we did them over a week. And at the end of the week, the principal came in, and he just looked at them, and his eyes sort of filled with tears. It was so cool.
Wow.
And I continued doing it at that school for about 5 years. And it was neat. The parents would sort of ring in and say, you know, are the year 6s doing this again? So it became a bit of a tradition.
Okay.
Which is cool.
So it basically started from you one day experimenting on
a group of children in the classroom. Yes.
Children experiments.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And
then it developed.
Developed into this.
So I started going from that to teaching other kids and adults how to do it, to the point where now it's fun and it's easy for me to teach it. And you just watch people start with a lump of clay and end up somewhere between sort of 6 and 10 hours later, they've got a miniature of themselves.
So the average time is 6 to 7 hours, you would say, or
you can do it in that. The best time is probably 10 to 12 hours, just to give people a bit of a rest time in it.
Right.
You know, because when you're creating anything, sometimes it's best to walk away. You can do it in 7 hours if it's straight, but I prefer to give people a break, so they've got it overnight or a couple of days and then come back and finish. Mostly because I think your creative brain needs a little bit of rest time. And it's not really that they change anything, but they feel sort of more centered with the piece. And it's so cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you say that you're a teacher, as well as an artist of various mediums.
Yeah.
They have a saying that says that, well, if you're a teacher of what you do, that means you're not successful. Versus, being, creating these models and being like a multimillionaire. Can you kind of elaborate?
Oh, I'd like to be the multimillionaire
too. Of course,
too.
why not, right?
I think the sort of, and I probably fit that cliche of artists, in that I've got limited business skills. Okay. So I don't promote and do my stuff that way, which is probably why, it's probably one of the many reasons why I'm not a multimillionaire. I just want to share it. I want people doing it. To me, it makes sense that people are, yes, I work as a photographer and that's where most of my income comes from, but I also want to make sure people are taught how to take a photograph. I want kids with cameras in their hands so they know what they're doing, so it's successful. And with digital imagery now, if a child's got a camera, we can work with it. It's a different ballgame than before, when it was film and everybody was thinking of the cost factor.
So how would you measure success? Would you measure it on being famous, or something else?
That's a tough question. I measure my success on, I guess I do it project-based, and I sort of think you're only as good as your last project, so whatever that might be. Because I'm sort of a diverse artist, I guess if you want to call it that, and my attention span's fairly limited. It's really good for me to be able to switch from shooting people one day to creating people the next, or illustrate kids' books as well. So for me to have all those different mediums, they work together. I don't see any difference in them, and I know there's a huge difference, but for me it's pretty much the same thing.
Okay, so if speaking to a young person, a child, or even an adult that wants to explore things, would you say that it's okay to do a number of things, or would you say that it's best to focus on one?
I would say it's best to do a number of things. Try it a whole bunch, find what you like, and then explore it deeper.
Okay.
But I think it's really important for all of us to try and to play, because otherwise you get restricted by.
I put that on.
And as a person with so many different talents and just thinking out of the box, what advice would you give a parent that is, I guess, restricted by the education system's regimen of math and science and so forth, but they have a child that is exhibiting some kind of creative aspect, but they're not really sure how to foster it? What would you tell them? Like, what kind of...
Oh, please find a way to do it. Make sure, if nothing else, there's paper and pencils and let them play. You can make fabulous sculptures with sticky tape. You know, you don't need to spend a fortune, but you do need to get in there and get dirty. Kids to really old people like to finger paint and chocolate pudding. It's okay, you get to lick your fingers when you do it.
That's the second time I heard that today.
Is that right?
Yes.
It's fabulous. It's a fabulous thing to do.
Okay.
And I guess, I don't know how to put this. One time I was drawing with my great niece, and she was really frustrated, and her parents were really frustrated because they said she couldn't draw. The child was 4.
Okay.
And I think, for goodness sake, she's 4. So she's drawing with her, and she probably was developmentally a year behind.
Okay.
But we were drawing, and she made a mistake, and I just looked at her and said, let's do this, let's change it this way, and we'll turn a mistake into a masterpiece. And she's now 3 years older, and she keeps using that expression anytime she mucks up with creating something. And I think that's what it's about. You make mistakes, fix it, change it, alter it, because with any artistic medium, it's there. You know?
And would you recommend modeling, clay modeling to...
Oh, absolutely. It's so therapeutic for your hands. This sort of clay, it's very different than traditional clays. From a parenting point of view, I mean, I have 5 kids. It's clean,
Okay.
you know, and it's really quick success. You cook it in the oven, as opposed to clay that has to be fired and stuff. Very, very different mediums. One's not better than the other. They're just different. And I think that's one of the things about different mediums of art. They're not better. One's not a better, this doesn't make you a better artist. They're just different.
Just different.
Yeah.
Now, you have some specific things here.
Yeah.
Who, and how long did this happen?